There have been some big changes to family law in Australia, and if you're going through a separation or even just thinking about it, these changes could seriously affect you. As of June 10, 2025, the Family Law Amendment Act is now in play. It sounds dry, I know, but stay with me. These changes are actually a really big deal, especially when it comes to how property and money is going to be split after a relationship ends. One of the biggest shifts, the courts now have to consider the financial impact of family violence when deciding how to divide assets. That means if someone was in a controlling relationship where they weren't allowed to work, had no access to money, or were financially manipulated and controlled, that can now be factored into the final property settlement. It's a recognition that abuse isn't always physical. There's something about it that could extend to a financial component. It's about one person and leaving the other to feel financially trapped. That is financial abuse. It is now specifically named in the Family Law Act, and it matters. Even something like dowry abuse, where someone demands monies or gifts in exchange for marriage. Now, this might not seem very common to everyone, but those that are in specific cultures will understand what this is about, and it can be a very real problem. Another change that's coming into effect is that courts are going to have a bit more structure when they're working out who gets what in a property split. And there's going to be more of a focus on fairness and future need. So it's not just about who brought what into the relationship. It never really was just about that, but I think there's more of an emphasis with these family law amendments about what each person is going to need moving forward. And yes, even pets that is now the talk of the town, they're now officially on the radar, and thank God, because the amount of inquiries we've had about family pets has been incredible. And up until now, there hasn't been a formal structure in place to determine who are going to keep pets. But now that has all changed, and the family law courts can now consider who can look after the dog, the cat, the bird, whoever it is, and make decisions about pet ownership as part of the property settlement. So if you've been the one walking the dog, paying the vet bills, feeding it every day, that matters now. It's not just about whose name is on the receipt. It's about who is actually looking after the dog and where should the dog be going and who's going to be looking after the dog in the best way. There's been a whole push to make this whole process less hostile, meaning courts are encouraged to keep things less combative and more cooperative. Less courtroom dramas, and I think that's what everybody's looking for, and we're more looking for a solution as opposed to having more and more things stacked up to complain about one another. I think these changes are going to be great and welcomed by everyone once they come into effect and we see a few decisions made by the courts. One thing that's also going to be changed is financial disclosure. Now, previously, the rules around financial disclosure were put in place in the Federal Circuit of Family Court rules, but now they are in the Family Law Act, which is good news. It means that it forces people to be more upfront about their finances. Hopefully no more hiding assets, no more hiding bank accounts, and full transparency is required. So I am looking forward to see what the outcome of that is and what the courts are actually going to do if people aren't disclosing those assets. I think that's what we're really interested to see. So these changes apply to everyone. It doesn't matter whether you're settling things privately with your ex, going through mediation, using lawyers, in court, out of court, all of these rules are still going to be applying. So if you're separating, this stuff definitely affects you. So if you've been in a relationship where financial control or abuse was a thing, know that the law now recognizes that. And if you're the one doing all of the pet keeping, or if you're worried about how property is going to be divided, these changes are designed to make things more fair and balanced. Of course, the law is always changing, and that's why it's so important to stay up to date. The rules that are in place even a year ago are different to where we are today, and it's a constantly evolving area. You can't just rely on what your friend said happened to them 5 years ago. The game has changed. If this video helped you understand the new changes, hit the like and subscribe button. I'm always posting new legal content, so follow for more updates.